Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started on this magic dot exercise. So when you have Animate opened up, you're going to go ahead and hit create new file. Mine's going to look slightly different because I just have a newer version at home. Okay, you want to go ahead and select 1920 by 1080. And although we usually use the 24 frame rate, we're going to change it for this exercise to 12 FPS. And then this stays the same. So you should have 1920 by 1080, 12 FPS, and then you're going to hit create. Okay, so you should have something like this. I'm going to hit Command minus to see my full stage here. And we're just going to start off by drawing a dot. You can use whatever drawing tool brush you want. I'm going to do the classic brush tool here. You can change the color on your properties inspector over here to whatever you'd like, and you can also change the size here. My favorite shortcut is the brackets, left and right bracket next to the letter P to change it without having to come over here. So that's obviously too small. I'm going to turn this off because I think it's on. There we go. There we go. So take the time to see how big or small you want this dot. 30 is okay with me. And you want to start with layer 1. And let's say I want mine to start somewhere here. Okay. Then I want to turn on onion skin, which is right above your timeline here. It's the two little circles. I'm going to move over to my next frame, and I'm going to right click, insert blank keyframe, and because I have onion skin turned on, there's a blue like transparent version of what my first keyframe was, and that kind of lets me know how far or close I should set something. So we did learn about slow in and slow out and timing, and this is a great exercise to kind of show you how that looks depending on how far or close you put your dots. So let's say for this one I want to keep them pretty close because the dots are slowly building up to speed here. This exercise is also great because if you don't know how to draw, then that is a-okay. Alright, let's say by this one it's a little further out. So now we're kind of speeding this dot up. Okay, so I'm going to turn onion skin off and play that back here. You can hit loop if you'd like, and you can adjust this bar down here and it'll loop whatever is highlighted here. So that is looking pretty great. I will hit pause really quick and have you guys keep adding your own dots here. Okay, so I hope you guys added more magic dots here per se. What I do want to mention now that you have some practices of just drawing and adding a blank keyframe is not to forget to follow arcs. So it shouldn't be very straight paths. Think about how you can curve it since everything does move in an arc. You can turn onion skin on to kind of see where this is at. For example, if I were to create a new layer here and just call this my path. Make sure that you are on this layer. And let's just say I want to draw a path that my little magical dot is gonna follow. Let's see. Right, cool. So right now it's following this path, and let's say I wanted to do something like this. I can have that path there, and I can actually move it below my dot and it would be easier to see. In my properties panel where it says color effects, I can go to alpha and drop this down in transparency so it doesn't get in my way. Again, this is optional just to see that your dot's following an arc. I'm going to stretch this out because I want you all to at least hit the 6-second mark, which is over here. So I can right click and hit insert frame on my path, and that's just so it stays there for the entire duration that I'm animating these dots here. But I do want you to experiment with, this was set to 30, the spacing of the dots when you're animating. Right, and you want to make sure that you are inserting a blank keyframe every time, and you're not having 2 dots in one frame. Okay. It is okay to mess up at this point, or if something looks wonky. Oopsie, I chose the wrong one. You can also do smear frames, but if something looks wonky, don't worry about it. This is just practice. So a smear frame, let's say I'm taking this and just elongating it like that. I might actually make it slightly smaller. So smear frames are different from squash and stretch because they're supposed to kind of show hope I didn't put 2. Okay. Speed per se, you'll see this a lot in Animate. Change this back to 30. If I wanted to make the dot look like it's moving further away, then you can also play with the sizing. So let's say it gets smaller over here. You can make your brush smaller gradually, right? And it'll look like it's getting further away from the camera. Oops, I want to extend this. There we go. So we could see that kind of like speed happening there. But I want you guys to create your own magical dot animation that hits about the 6-second mark, and you can tell here in your timeline. 6S is the seconds, but this number right here is the number of frames or drawings that you'll have. So you should have a keyframe all the way up to frame 73, and I'll pause here. Alright y'all, once you have all of the 6 frames, I honestly stopped here, but you should come all the way up to the 6-second mark. Play it back and see if you like it. I can tell you firsthand, if I can go back, I would probably made my dot be bigger here and then smaller up here. Instead I did it the other way. So if you finish early, go ahead and add a new layer here, and then do another animation to kind of complement the initial one that you did. This is if you finish early, okay? I'm happy if you just have one. But once you are done, say you have a total of 3, you can delete the path layer, right? I actually don't need this one. Oops. So I'm just gonna delete it. And you can do File, Save As. You're going to choose your USB. For me, this is obviously a PC, not a Mac, but you should have a location or a where button in a Mac, and you want to select your USB there. You're going to rename this to Magical Dot. You want to have an FLA file here, and that's just for you to go back and fix later. You can upload the FLA to Schoology. If you wanted to be a little extra, feel free to go to Export and do Export Animated GIF. It does take some time for this menu to pop up. Right. For some reason on a Mac, transparency is always checked on, and I want you to make sure that it is checked off on yours. And then you're going to hit save, choose your USB again, and you can upload this as well, or you can just save this for your references. But this is all for the magical dot exercise today.